Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Skyliners and Sky Watchers. Welcome to the Vash Sky ParkCast. My name is Vash Sky, and I'm here to take you through the wonderful world of theme parks, everything that's going on right now. We've got some news coming out of Disneyland, Universal. We've got news coming out of, well, the Grand Floridian, which is very, very interesting, especially as it relates to all this talk about bus and travel restrictions around the Walt Disney World Resort area. Very interesting stuff indeed going on there. We also have got some new ticket offers for you and all kinds of stuff. Hopefully it might, involve helping your vacation, but even if it doesn't, you'll at least know the latest happenings in the theme park world. Very, very interesting stuff indeed. And we've got so many of you out there who have decided to join us, so that's really, really cool. We have John Make It Rain. We have Walter Tomaszewski, I do believe, or Tomaszewski. Perhaps that is the pronunciation. I do apologize if I got that wrong right there. We have Juliet out there. Awesome stuff. Nicole Williams, thank you so much. Kit Kat, come on in. O2RR, Sargon 2008. Thank you so much for coming on in here and showing your tremendous support for this channel. Juliet already coming in with the £2 sterling. Evening Vash Sky ParkCast, Skyliners and Sky Watchers. Thank you so much, Juliet. Very much appreciate that. Saw you, actually, last night during the theme parkin' simulcast. That was very, very cool to have you in there and supporting there. Awesome stuff. I know on your park side of the world, it is very much a different story in terms of time. So that's pretty cool. Hey, look at that. Theme park casual coming on in here. Hey, kids. Hey, you. Good, sir. Very much appreciate you coming on in. We've got Chris A426. Hi, Vash, looking good. Well, thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. There's a theme park wizard coming on in here, which is very, very important because we're going to be talking about a little bit of Universal Studios Hollywood news regarding the Fast and the Furious latest happenings right there. Doesn't look amazing, I will say. Hopefully, Wizard will not be offended if I read just a little bit of his article right there, talking about what's going on with Fast and Furious, because I think in its totality, the context, the content is very, very important right there. We'll make sure to bring out links for when we get to that section. Pretty good stuff right there. We also have the producer extraordinary, MJ, MagicalyMJ, behind the scenes right now. MJ, hello there. How are you doing? And are we okay to bring you on?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Hello there.
Hey.
How is everything going right now? Are
Great.
we looking good to go to our first story?
Everyone's got their arms up and ready to go on this roller coaster ride. We got
Yeah.
Kit Kat out there. She said she's making sure her hands, her arms, her feet, and legs are tucked inside because it's time for showtime.
That is a good point right there. Actually, it's not on the docket today, but the hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the ride vehicle at all times. Make sure you go ahead and check that yellow strap right there before we take off. It's very, very important because I guess the second time in a very short period of time, somebody actually climbed out of the ride vehicle on Tiana's Bite Adventure at Disneyland right before that 50-foot drop, which is not great. Fortunately, no fall this time. But it's just kind of like, man, it just keeps on happening. That's never a good thing. And somebody who oversaw all of that for a period of time at Disneyland Resort was Ken Potrock. It says right here, former president of Disneyland Resort has announced his retirement from the Walt Disney Company. Published July 7, 2026. We did cover this a little bit last night on Theme Parkin' right here, so I won't belabor the point too much. I will say this, though, Ken Potrock, in my opinion, kind of got a bad deal. I should say a raw deal, because he was made president of Disneyland like days before the big shutdown, right? Before Disneyland Resort was shut down, at least its two theme parks, for 412 days during the COVID pandemic. That was no good. Didn't like to see that right there. And then he had to basically manage the largest reopening operation that the company had ever seen up until that point. I mean, you're talking about a park with 45 attractions in one, 20 or so in another. I mean, this was a big, wide-scale operation right here. And he had to do it with basically all the cast members furloughed, right? Or at least let go. believe 28,000 cast members were relieved of their duties during that 412 days shutdown right there. So he had to hire so many people back. I believe they only started out with, a skeleton crew, basically anywhere between 10 and 15,000. A far cry from the 30,000 plus that it actually takes to run Disneyland Resort. I think it's up to like 36, 38,000 now cast members that are required to run that resort in full ops. So, I mean, literally was a Herculean task to get up to snuff there. And, while doing all of that, obviously, there were some hurdles, there were some challenges. I want to go ahead and talk about those briefly there. But he was changed out in roles. This is by Block Mickey right here. He was changed to Disney's Major Events Integration. Apparently, he was going to be the president of this operation that included synergistic efforts on behalf of the company for major, large-scale events like the 250th anniversary of the nation's, Declaration of Independence signing right there, or I think FIFA World Cup was on there, the Super Bowl was on there. There were a couple of things, right, that he was supposed to be, have a hand in and be a big part of. And even before some of those major events actually come online, he's announcing his retirement, apparently in 2027. Very interesting, very significant stuff right here. I actually met Ken at one point. Seemed like a nice enough guy, obviously, Disney executive, but seemed like a nice enough guy. And seemed like he was really trying, like he was really attempting to make the best of what was kind of a rough situation for him, which was, not too fantastic right there. Let's get some B-roll. There you go, right there. Obviously, you see right there on that B-roll, Lightning Lane. Obviously, that came under him. And so, I guess we had to get to the part where it's like, okay, well, was Ken really, great for Disneyland Resort? And why maybe he was removed from that position right there? I'll say this. Lightning Lane and the implementation of the reservation policy, both those things, those were company initiatives, more like, rather than resort-based initiatives. MJ, does that make sense? I mean, I've seen a lot of criticism on Ken's, placed on Ken's shoulders for implementing some of these policies, or at least having been the president at that time when these policies were implemented. But I would argue that the same policies, if not more, were implemented at Walt Disney World as well. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, that's kind of coming from the company, from Burbank, from C-suite, more than it is a directive stemming directly from the presidential position itself. What say you?
No, I can, now that you brought that up, I can see that it's coming from a corporate level, the C-suite, like you just said. But I just want to know about the actual outcome and like a graph. What has it really been profitable? As you know, in the last maybe decade and a half, we've had so much of a negative impact with the films that they've put out. So they're not making money on those, and so they're looking for other ways to bring in that revenue. Is
Right.
Lightning Lane bringing the company the revenue that they expect it to bring, or is it? Or is it something that's going to be going away just like the Fast Pass went away and something else will be implemented in the future?
It has been tremendously successful for the Walt Disney Company. They've said in multiple earnings calls, actually, dating back to the JPEG era, that they had opt-in as high as 50%, at least at the Walt Disney World property. Of course, at Disneyland, a little bit different scenario because you're dealing with so many locals. The emphasis placed on attractions, not the same thing quite as Walt Disney World, right? People fly from all over the world to go on Walt Disney World attractions versus when you have 75% of your annual attendance coming from within 250 miles. And guess what? People have been on the attractions. So it's just a little bit different of a story there. The opt-in for something like Lightning Lane, it's just not the same at Disneyland. But it was an initiative, right, that was implemented, under his tenure. But was it because of him? Well, I think, evidence would suggest, from Walt Disney World anyway, because it got a lot of those same policies. This was more of a company initiative. And I think you're right to bring up the company's finances in this, right? Because, as these box office revenues have plummeted, as we've seen in the last, 5-6 years right there, their earning potential from their entertainment side of the business has just gone down precipitously. It's just not in the same ballpark that it was pre-2019. And so that's placed a lot of emphasis on the parks themselves in order to shore up revenues, right? And to really provide that financial backbone, that capital that they require to show to investors, hey, we're a growing company. Which is sad. And again, that's something else that Ken has to deal with in all of this stuff.
Well, yeah, that's definitely why they've also added in the last, 4 years, all these different bars and lounges, because let's face it, you can sell alcohol for a lot more than a Mickey ice cream bar.
Yeah, that's true, right? So that's where we get the emphasis on alcohol, on some of these high return, high yield items at the Disney parks, and we'll be talking about a little bit of that, more about that in just a moment, because that's a very, very astute observation that you make right there. So I see some stuff being assigned to Ken. I don't know if it's 100% fair. It was a rough time, difficult time, and look, was he as bad as Paul Pressler? I don't think so. But was he a force for good? Hard to say, because right when Disneyland Resort started to get under its feet under itself right there and recovering, he was transferred out, and Thomas Maslam was made president of Disneyland. And we saw the media summit that Thomas Maslam held, and from his perspective, right, it was like, okay, we have been deficient in customer service, we've been deficient in some areas, we want to go ahead and shore those up. And then a month later, after that media summit, he is made the chairman of the experiences division, so leading over all of the parks, which I thought was very, very interesting. So we've had a lot of changeover at the Disneyland presidential position, certainly in the last 15 years. If you add them all up, it's been significant. So because of that lack of consistency at the executive level there, at Team Disney Anaheim and the management team over there at Disneyland, it's just been a lot. I think some things have fallen between the cracks and all of that. Now, I will say Ken, probably did have a lot of pull when it came to entertainment. And honestly, entertainment at Disneyland Resort has struggled, ever since the pandemic. It's just not the same place it used to be. Obviously, we talked about Fantasmic and how bad that stuff is, right? We've talked about how the Hyperion, hey, other than Rogers the Musical being in there for a short summer season in 2023, that's been closed. That's been empty. 2,000 seat venue not being used right now. It is just a ridiculous. Shouldn't happen. Again, all this stuff happens on Ken's watch right there. The customer service issues that we were talking about before, that Thomas Maslam made us aware of. So, it's been marred there, and I think because of that performance, that might have been why he was transferred out. But I will say, Ken, he got Disneyland Forward across the finish line. That was a big move. Uncle Kyle Glazier had, the person preceding Ken in that role, had a lot of issues with the city of Anaheim in getting certain things approved. We were supposed to get that fourth hotel. That never happened because of those relationships right there being frayed. We were also supposed to get the Eastern Gateway. This was back in 2015. We were supposed to get this thing, and it never happened. It never got approved because Disney was just pushing its weight around and all of that. So that's no good. It wasn't until Josh Giamaro interestingly came in that relationship with the city was starting to be healed. Obviously, with the pandemic, that placed Disneyland in a different light when it came to the city and its finances and all of that. So, Ken Potrock certainly benefited from that, but he still got what was probably the most important initiative for the future of Disneyland approved and across the finish line, which is a big deal, I think. But might be because of those commitments that they made for Disneyland Forward. I think they had to spend, $2 billion within the first 10 years or something like that. Maybe that has a hand in his performance from C-Suite or whatever. A lot of history happening at Disneyland at this time. And then we've got a new executive, a new president that is about to take the throne over there at Walt Disney World that we also had to talk about as well. But MJ, we got a super chat. Please go ahead and read it out for us.
Yeah, we have O2RR out there. Thank you so much. And he's coming in for $4.99. Disney stock closed at 96.17 today. WDW's worst dumping wasteland.
Okay.
Just say
That's
that
pretty
3
good.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Epic stands for energetic, powerful, immersive, creative. Always nice to be here. We enjoy having you here, O2RR. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, O2RR. Very much appreciate you. Yeah, everybody's talking about, the box office potential of the Odyssey. They're talking about Supergirl and all of that, but Moana's just about to come out. I believe it comes out this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, actually, it came out today, or either that, or some people get like a special preview, because we have a few of our some folks here in our community. They're going out and seeing it today and giving their review later. I believe Marvin will be doing that, so I think we're going to redirect after the show.
That's cool. I like that. Very much like that indeed. But I was just saying that the box office overall not doing so well. I think per film, if you're not in line with the audience and the audience expectations, and you're not in sync with what they want and are creating content, around that framework right there, I don't think audiences at the box office are necessarily going to take slop. They're going to be a little bit more discerning, especially right now in these economic times that we are in. And so, that may be why you have Obsession doing it unbelievably well versus Supergirl. Hey, you know what?
That's I saw those numbers. I just hope that with the new change in executives, that the good people that have been denied for DAS, they get a break, because we have a lot of stories. I'm trying to compile some together. People with mobility issues having to wait in the sun in a long queue line for a ride and then they just end up saying, I'm not going to do it because I cannot be sitting here in a wheelchair in the hot sun. The Lightning Lane has taken such a turn with this company and with the DAS system in these past couple of years. I just hope in general that they revamp the whole. I don't know what kind of strategy they were trying to do, because we all know at the end of the day that the Lightning Lane was implemented to push out the abuse from DAS. So hopefully with the change that that's coming in with and change in executives, that something will give, and these people will not have to suffer, and they can continue to go on the rides that they enjoy so very much.
Right. You're exactly. I'm hoping for some relief with these executive switchovers, like Jill Estorino coming into Disneyland Resort, and perhaps Joe Scott, which we'll get into in just a second. Right there, that's a great segue to our next segment right there. But it's really interesting. We've seen the effects that Lightning Lane has had for the entire company as they've placed enhanced emphasis on attractions, as they've placed enhanced emphasis on Lightning Lane sales, and DAS recipients, or at least prior recipients, got hurt from that, and that's no good. Don't like to see that at all, and hopefully we get some relief now with Jeff Valley officially leaving Walt Disney World as president in it should be this month, if not a couple days into the next, right there, to make way for Joe Scott. So Jeff Valley, when he actually announced that he was going to be retired, said kind of an ambiguous date, sometime mid-July. We've seen so many different decisions made between the time that he announced his retirement to now, especially as it relates to the operations of Walt Disney World Resort, right? The hospitality of certain resorts and all of that. Well, now Joe Scott, he's going to be taking over in August right there. That is significant. As MJ pointed out right there, these executives do have a lot of say when it comes to the operational happenings, during their tenure underneath them as the president of their various resorts right there. Very significant that Joe Scott's going to be coming in, because, man, I'm looking at Walt Disney World right now. I've never seen it so inhospitable. I've never seen this kind of pervasive mindset, make its way through the transportation system of Walt Disney World, through, certain policies like DAS, for example. It's just not been fantastic. I think Jeff Volley has really been a source, certainly a source of contention for fans. But it's just, I don't think it's been managed very well. And I think that's why Jeff didn't get the chairman job, right? We talked about this before, and how Thomas Moslem got the job over Jeff, which was kind of crazy, because if Jeff is your, president, overseeing your largest flagship resort, accounting for maybe a third of the overall revenue for the entire company, you would think that he'd be next in line for that experience's chairman position. And yet he was overlooked for Thomas Moslem. And, well, because he has no upward momentum, now that Thomas has got the job, he bails. But he leaves so much damage in his wake, though, MJ. That's just like the goodwill that had been carefully built and fostered for 60 years prior to this moment right here, certainly at Disneyland, definitely at Walt Disney World, has been so eroded by some of these decisions right here. MJ, are you optimistic about Joe Scott coming in?
I'm a little bit optimistic about the changes. Anytime there is change, I'm always optimistic. You know how I am. I just have to stay enthused some way, somehow, because we deeply care about this company. We deeply care about the theme parks, and that's why we are here. That is why you are hosting this beautiful show. We just have to, hope for the best and keep an eye on things. I know that there was already some changes earlier this year with a lot of cast members being let go. And I think it was like 1,000 people or something like that. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, but it sounds like a lot, but it's not. But, with the theme parks, there definitely has to be a revamp with the training on the cast members, the post-pandemic, making sure everyone's, doing their duties across the board. We want to get the parks back up to par when the restrooms were top-notch. The trash cans weren't overflowing, debris in the queue line for the rides. All of those little details, those need to be, that's what Walt intended for the theme parks, because, he wanted his park to be different from everyone else's. So we have to keep that in mind. For as long as the company holds the name Walt Disney World, we have to keep that in mind. So I'm hoping that these gentlemen will continue on with, Walt's vision while they're sitting in the C-suite.
Yeah, I look, it's obviously you're going to have some company mandates, right? And the company certainly has said, listen, we're not doing very well at the box office. Moana, Mando, everything else. We're not doing very well with our, cable division, basically eroding to nothing, especially from its highs that we experienced 10, 15 years ago. Disney Plus certainly hasn't taken off, and, I know Josh Giamaro, one of his biggest goals is turning that whole thing around right there, but even if it's just like $750 million or so per quarter for that segment of the business, it's not near enough to justify how many losses we've experienced because of that. And so the corporate mandate is get as much revenue from the parks as possible. That originated with Chapek, and it hasn't stopped, even with Bob Iger, even with Josh Giamaro, and maybe even, with Josh Giamaro at the helm, we've seen an acceleration of all of this stuff. It's how you implement those changes, right? So, yes, Joe Scott, Ken Potrock, now Jill Ostorino, they are managers, they are executives. There's no question about that. But look at the damage that one can do from like the Paul Pressler era, for example, right? Amounting to ultimately, 2 people passing away at a Disney park, that being Disneyland, feet from each other, unfortunately, as that is. The 2, I think, only instances of the company itself being liable for those people passing away in that instance. That happened under, Paul Pressler's leadership, Cynthia Harris, and all of that. That was implementing this change. That was a company directive ultimately to, maximize revenues, but it's how that was sought about that led to so much destruction of these favorite places that we all love. So I will say, yeah, there is limited influence right here. And I'm not saying Rivers of America can be restored just because Joe Scott's coming back in. Right. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
It's just, can we, prevent other losses from mounting, for example, of classic attractions? Can we prevent, another Rivers of America type scenario from playing out? Because I will say, a lot of what WDI designs for the parks now is predicated on what the executives require from them and their projects. That's an important distinction. That's an important thing to actually bring out right there. Nicole Williams coming on in here. What does Nicole have to say?
Oh, yes, Nicole Williams. I'm a wait and see kind of girl. So am I. Actions will speak louder than words. And so my hope will remain muted. I agree with her. It's almost like you're sitting back and waiting and watching a show. Grab your popcorn and hold on tight. Really and truly, the people have spoken, and the guest experience has, since 2018, it just has not, they haven't delivered. And the guest experience should be a top priority for these guys.
It should be.
We're going to wait and see what happens, but I agree with Nicole.
Indeed. It should be a top priority. And unfortunately, with these changes in hospitality and accommodation, especially as it relates to transportation around Walt Disney World property, and perhaps, the blocking off of access to these resorts, well, that has its maybe unintended consequences as well, at least from the company's end. This brings us to our lead story of the day. Did Disney World make a mistake when it came to the revenue output related to their changes that they've made for Disney Springs, bus transportation, resort access, and everything else? From Leisure Time TV, we are 6 days away from Grand Floridian sending a guy with a spinning sign to Disney Springs bus stop to drum up some business. You can see right there that amazing bar that they just installed there.
Amazing?
What is that?
Wow. Gosh, those are big words.
I say that somewhat sarcastically.
Gotcha.
This big, grand project to get as much revenue as possible from this area of Walt Disney World via this bar right here. You can see, not looking too well. And this was July 6th, 2026 right there. This was posted later on. I don't know exactly when this photo was taken, but certainly posted a little bit later on in the day. Some people actually coming in with some pretty decent takes right here. You can see a larger scale photo of that. Angry Pass holder. I was bar hopping at Poly, Grand Flow, and Contemporary last night. The lobby bar closed around 9:30 while Enchanted Rose was still open at 10. It's not doing as well as they hoped. I do agree with that. Clickbait Corliss coming on in here. They just need to announce this bar is closing, and every influencer within 50 miles of Orlando will be fighting for a seat at the bar to be the last one. That's a pretty funny thing right there. Somebody taking it literally. There you go. You got the guy with the flipboard sign right there. I'm sure that's AI. But MJ, I love this one right here. This is my favorite right now. See right there. They just need a little bit more advertisement to get people into the Grand
Two for
Floridian
one?
bar.
What is this, Applebee's? What is happening? Is this AI?
This
looks
AI.
like
This
AI.
This is AI. This AI. I will say. But people were having fun with it. It is really something right there. I kind of love this little video that somebody made. But yeah, and people were quick to point out right here just some of the problems with even having a bar in this position in the first place, like Jazz Can't Hang here, saying you can't tell whoever made the decision to put this bar here understood the different levels and views of the Grand Floridian's full 360-degree themed lobby atrium. Obviously, with sight lines from various parts of the balconies, you can see right into the kind of backstage elements right there of a bar's operation. That's not good. That's not fantastic right there. No. Other people chiming in. Was there last week? What time was this taken? Because during meal times it was busy, but also this bar sucks, especially drinks only and no soft drinks for kids. A lot of people were walking away.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I mean, you're walking to check in at the Grand Floridian, and while you check in, normally they have like a little area there where the kids can sit and watch TV or cartoons. They always roll out the old school cartoons, but you would think that this little perch bar would at least have some chocolate milk or apple juice for the little ones that the parents can purchase while they do what they need to do. They're really not thinking. And we were just talking about this too with the Grand Floridians. The gingerbread house being gone. Why not serve hot chocolate? You could even get it spiked if you want to, but they're really not getting creative with this thing. And how many drinks can you order from here? Like 7?
I thought, I heard it was even less than that. I heard the menu was pretty short right there.
Yeah, like,
so
what are we doing? I don't get it.
I don't know. And I think they were relying at least a little bit on the traffic that they have experienced for the last couple of years from people resort hopping or people, coming maybe from Magic Kingdom or whatever on their way to Magic Kingdom. I think cutting down on this, I think, and I've said this before, when you make big adjustments like what they're doing when it comes to bus transportation at Disney Springs, right? When you make those big things, the framework or the rubric that you're working with to build a bar in this lobby right here is somewhat predicated on the traffic patterns that you're modeling out right there. So when you have these big disturbances like this and you're cutting off so much traffic from this resort right here, can you even justify having not 1 but 2 bars in your lobby like this?
Yeah, it's
it doesn't seem like they can. And it seems like this is a consequence of that.
Absolutely. I mean, even the check-in counter, it used to look so different. Now it's giving almost like Coronado Springs. A little bit. It's like, it's not really saying this is the Grand Floridian that you're checking into. That says the Grand Floridian right there with the carpet and the stairs, but the lobby check-in counter area has been revamped, and it doesn't give the ambiance and the immersiveness that the Grand Floridian used to give. That's just my opinion with that update.
No, I completely agree. I mean, in the Grand Floridian's lifetime, we've had, obviously we have the gingerbread house, but we've also had the live orchestra that used to be on that second level right there, now having been replaced for enhanced seating for Enchanted Roads. That's no good. It used to be a very welcoming establishment. You still have the piano player. I'm not saying that they've gotten rid of that, but it's just a different atmosphere now when you've implemented these policy changes to transportation, to resort access. Now that you're saying in Disney Parks blog post and official post on social media, hey, for resort guests and everything like that, it's just not as welcoming, just not as friendly. And so I do think that might cut down meaningfully on your bars, for example, because I remember some people who were saying who have done in the past, maybe they stay at a DVC property at the Grand Flo, and it's like, hey, let's go ahead and get some drinks after a day at the parks, maybe at Magic Kingdom, for example. And it's like, okay, other people who may not be staying with this person, would have previously been able to join that person at the Enchanted Rose or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, now that might not be possible anymore.
Ugh.
So what does that do? I mean, you've now gone from, potentially 6, 7, 8 people that would have enjoyed themselves at a bar like that, down to 1, perhaps, maybe. So I think it has revenue.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course. I think so. And when you take away attractions that would have otherwise attracted you to a place like this, like with the great, Grand Gingerbread House.
I like this comment from Chris A. But, I've stayed at the Gaylord, so this kind of stood out to me. The lobby should have real plants and tall trees like the Gaylord palms and a water feature. There should be some kind of like I don't know, I could see a waterfall or even like a little fountain, some kind of kinetic energy. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Vash? I think it would be a good idea.
I think, in what Disney of yore, you would have had, I think, water features. I mean, look at the Wilderness Lodge, right? It has a water feature kind of, inside of it right there.
With the
big
bridge.
fireplace and all of that. Their resorts that they would actually build got better and better and better. This was one of, the first of many that would actually come out of the Michael Eisner era, Grand Floridian, all of that. So I think if the previous mindset, if the previous Imagineers, especially doing this work, were still with the company during all this time, I think we would have seen enhancements. Instead, it's like, no, we can't do enhancements because that's something we have to upkeep. Let's go ahead and make it simple. Let's go ahead and make it, Gensler, to relieve us of the burden of having to, maintain more expensive accoutrement. And let's just put in revenue making opportunities like this bar. That's the mindset change that is happening right now. And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But then you're going to take away access away from other, from the wide variety of guests who would otherwise want to use a bar like that. Again, 60% of people on property, at least according to the last that I saw, are going to be people that are not staying on property. It's just going to be people visiting from maybe out of town, maybe, locals.
Yeah.
It could be people staying in other properties around Walt Disney World.
I completely agree with you.
Bars.
I had that experience. I think, when was that? In March? Maybe April? I can't even remember. It felt like it was yesterday. It was such a nice time. But when I went to the Animal Kingdom Lodge and I wanted to call in a couple of friends, it was nearly impossible to have someone come and even just have when you go to the Mara, or you could even go to what's the next little dining venue across from Boma? I keep forgetting the name of that one.
To
hang out, and have not a cocktail, but just like a drink and a snack, and hang out with friends, and even allow them to enjoy the amenities as a guest. I remember you used to be able to call in security and say, hey, I have company coming. And that was part of your resort experience. You should be able to do that, but they are really eliminating a lot of things.
So many.
Yeah. We have so many friends out there testing the waters, like Dan at Dan's Life at the Kingdom.
Right.
He's compiling some information for us, which we can bring to the light very soon, along with video footage, which is extremely amazing to be able to have that here on the channel. So time will only tell with this resorts, the guest stay experience at the resorts. Yeah.
Oh yes, and people have been chiming in all over the place. This on social media right here. Jen Blanchette saying, "How about a live orchestra? Maybe position them on the second floor, as a potential idea to drum up some visitation right here."
Yeah.
Ink and Paint Club says, really bad location for it. They're not a full-service bar. It's limited things that were crazy expensive. It's not only the bar top services. They have waiters walking around the whole area of the lobby to serve drinks, which is the real reason the Gingerbread House can't come back. Very astute observation right here, provided by Ink and Paint Club. Escape Goat 2020, or Goat on X. Maybe they could let people stay off property to visit the Grand Floridian lobby and buy some drinks. You would think so. This is why the whole idea with restrictions is dumb. You have 2 bars at Grand Floridian that always sell. Now it's empty. This by Edie Theme Park and Attractions right there. So I think a lot of people are not they're obviously not happy not having that access. But as a result of not having that, well, if you have revenue opportunities within your bar, and you've moved, by the way, heaven and earth to install these things, maybe at the cost of something like the Gingerbread House.
Yep.
Well, expect sales to go down. I think
100%.
This is just math.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Boy.
Yeah. And let's just face it, the menus. It's so funny because we were going over the menus the other day at the Grand Floridian just to see which dining venues you have to make a reservation for, and which, for the quick service. We're just doing so much research on our end. And in the grand scheme of things, if you're staying at the Grand Floridian and you want to have that really nice guest experience, have people come over, hey, let's go out, let's go to Gasparilla Grill and have lunch together. If you can't do that, you're going to not only hurt your revenue sales for merchandise, food and beverage, but your DVC members are not going to be too happy with you, and they're not going to renew their membership.
Right.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself right there. I think there are a lot of problems that stem from these policy decisions, and hopefully Joe Scott could kind of reevaluate this and go, hey, you know what? Maybe we can be a little bit more surgical in our approach like we used to be, right? There was a time when they would implement policies like this, but only for a brief period of time, maybe during high peak demand times and so forth. Or maybe they limit access to some of the resorts some of the time, maybe not all the time, maybe not in this hostile fashion. All those things, I think, could improve their economic prospects, at least when it comes to some of these bars. Now, it's interesting because we compare all Pirates of the Caribbean bar debuts walk-up availability. Hype's gone down. People have moved on to other venues, and it looks like they're looking to fill those things up. Also, too, nationwide, alcohol consumption is down by quite a bit. So I don't know if this, ever-increasing bar strategy that they have is going to be necessarily sustainable. But alas, this is the situation that we find ourselves in as fans. Now, when it comes to visitation overall in the Orlando market right there, it has been quite the summer for theme park proprietors indeed. We saw that the July numbers for Disney World attendance might be the lowest that they've been since September of 2021 when masks were reinstated for a period of time. Yeah, not good. And well, Universal is doing something about it as well. Universal's new $199 two-park ticket offers unlimited park visits for Florida residents. This is by July 9th here, 2026 by Mike. Universal Orlando Resort has launched a new ticket that lets Florida residents visit Universal Studios Florida and Universal's Islands of Adventure as many times as they want through mid-December. The two-park unlimited days Florida resident ticket went on sale for $199 plus tax. It covers unlimited admission to both parks now through December 16th. Did a little research on this, and from what I could find when it came to this particular, ticket offer, was that it's, I think, less than half the price of its next closest comparable, which would be the two-park Power Pass. So that's got two-park access as well. I don't know if it's quite necessarily park to park, but it does have two-park access.
I can double check. I think there's two options, but I have I can get the information on that actually.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was comparing that and the two-park seasonal pass. Two-park seasonal pass actually has some blockout dates attached to it. This apparently does not. So that is quite the significant thing right there. But to get universal access for basically half of what a two-park Power Pass would be, pretty good. So two-park Power Pass, $475. Now you can buy that at any time, and you don't have to be a Florida resident to take advantage of that. But for Florida residents who maybe want to go for the rest of the year, $199 is actually not too bad right there. This is park to park access, providing you the ability to go on like Hagrid's, the Hogwarts Express from park to park. So that's quite nice right there. And it's, I do believe, let me just think right here. Yeah, no blockout dates. So pretty good value overall, I think, MJ, if you're just looking to, maybe go to the parks on and off.
I want to double check the blockout dates for you. I'm gonna double check on that right now because I think I did see a couple of blockout dates, but I could be totally wrong.
For this particular offer right here?
For the $199? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm gonna double check.
I didn't see anything in my research right here. I'd be very interested to know if there were any blockouts at all.
Sure.
Obviously, when you buy into something like this, it's good until December 16th. So yeah, it's not quite an annual pass, but think of it as kind of the rest of the year type annual pass, right? I think that's a good way of looking at this. Pretty good stuff right there. Also, too, let's see right here. Ticket also covers seasonal events. Florida residents booking a stay near the parks can also save up to 25% on rooms at participating Universal Orlando Resort hotels right there. So that is very, very good. I I do like these offers right here. I do wish it was maybe a little bit bigger than
Yeah.
Florida residents themselves, but they're starting here. And maybe we might see more aggressivity on this end to get people in the door. But I do like how they still have value options. They still have discounts. Again, I think in terms of valuation, Walt Disney World has some discounts too, but I think, myself personally, that some of these Universal discounts are just a little bit better in this regard right here. MJ, did you find anything in your research?
I'm still looking it up, but I just, let me see. I did see something about parking. Forgive me, Vash. The Rogue attraction, so no parking included in this one?
Right, no parking is included, not from what I can find right here. There could be some more additional information with the official release right here, but I looked to see whether or not parking was included. It doesn't look like it will be. So, again, another consideration that you might have to make if you plan to visit multiple times from here to the end of the year. Pretty big stuff there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the dates. For some reason, I'm just looking at the buy 3 get 2 day free. That's like the hot topic right now for Universal, and I think that might be for Florida residents. Let me see the park hopping. We wanted to know if it was park hopping was included, right, for the $199, or if it was
no, it's park to park. Park to park is included in there. We wanted to see if whether or not this has any blackout dates. I don't believe it does.
Oh, the blackout
I do believe
dates.
it has unlimited admission between now and December 16th. Obviously, the Rogue attraction coming in there. It's not $199 then. That is true. If parking is a concern, it might not be. That might be an additional charge. But if you have somebody with parking privileges on their various passes, well, now you can go ahead and join them for that amount. It's not going to be for everybody. Just one more, tool in the tool chest of visitors looking to go to their favorite places like Universal Orlando.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So the newest annual pass has the whole month of July blocked out, but this one here, I'm not seeing any blockout dates. So
right. So
absolutely correct.
That's a good thing to point out. The 2 park seasonal pass I saw had July blocked out. So
the entire
if you
month.
Right, if you get in on this, well, now you're not only are you paying less than half, but you are also able to go during the month of July, which is very significant indeed.
Fantastic.
Take advantage of some of those summer entertainment offerings right here. We have a little bit of information regarding another Universal product. This time, though, not tickets. It's an attraction, and it might be an attraction that, well, the ability to ride on, you might have to be waiting just a little bit longer to get on said attraction right here. This is by Theme Park Wizard on his website, themeparkwizard.com. Definitely check it out, guys. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to this actually in the chat right now, so you can go ahead and follow along if you'd like. Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift delayed yet again at Universal Studios Hollywood. Here's when it could open. This by Ethan, July 8th, 2026. We are now in July, and Universal Studios Hollywood's newest coaster has no opening date just yet. The park sure seems like it was ready for the coaster to be open by now, as Mega Movie Summer is entirely Fast and Furious themed, with its own restaurant, bar, and dance party. The only thing missing is the coaster operating. So what's the holdup? According to sources who work on this project, this coaster has been plagued with difficulties. Not only is this a first of its kind prototype coaster from Intamin, which, by the way, is being duplicated not once, twice, 3 times actually, because this coaster itself won't only be in Universal Studios Hollywood. They're building it out currently right now at Universal Studios Florida, and the same technology, different layout, will be used in Tokyo Disneyland's Space Mountain Earthrise that should be opening up, I think, next year sometime there. So that's kind of the issue that Intamin finds itself in. They got to get this corrected now, because we've got 2 more iterations on the way in addition to this one, which already will cause a longer testing time due to its prototype nature to make sure everything is perfect. But many unforeseen issues have occurred as well. To read this section, let's go ahead and get a taste of this coaster right there visually. The delay started back in January 2023, before the project even got off the ground, when the city and the county were holding up approving the permits for the coaster. I do remember that process right there. Not great. Walls went up in January 2023, but work didn't actually start until June of 2023, which was already a 5-month delay. Then Los Angeles had 2 back-to-back very rainy seasons, which caused small delays as well, which usually happens. So the start of any start of the year coming out of winter, you will get these kind of rainy seasons that will delay some projects. There's a great story actually of Walt with I believe they were constructing, I think, Small World, and that required that the railroad, actually, the track had to be moved in order to be situated within that facade, as it beautifully is. But that delay caused a delay for Small World and caused a delay from the train reopening. They had to inform Walt. He was not happy about that, by the way. And he was thinking like, oh, I don't know if we can even charge full price for tickets because the railroad's not open. That's how mindful he was when it came to downtime, maintenance issues, etc. Then Los Angeles, like Wizard has said here, had 2 back-to-back very rainy seasons, which caused small delays here, and that piled up, pushed back the opening day and year, actually, to 2026. Now, we are here in 2026, and the cars had issues doing the full controlled spin correctly, as they needed more power to be able to rotate the very heavy cars to their correct positions. The latest issue, though, is probably the most concerning of the bunch. A few weeks ago, guests noticed a piece of glass on the Scream shield was shattered. Everyone was trying to figure out why. I was initially told that it was a bird strike, but that theory seems to have been wrong. It seems that a piece of the coaster train itself actually blew off and caused the glass to shatter. The same incident happened on a different part of the track on July 3rd. That was a day that the coaster was heavily rumored to maybe soft open, and all day lots of team members were riding the attraction when suddenly it broke down and everyone was evacuated from the ride. Turns out that a spoiler from one of the cars on the coaster train flew off in the middle of the coaster layout, and since then, they have not been testing the ride. All of the coaster trains have been undergoing a rigorous inspection and even potentially a rebuild to ensure that no more pieces of the trains fly off into guest and non-guest areas. Due to this, the ride will be opening in August at the very earliest, and that is if no more issues arise. Fingers crossed, everything goes smoothly, and Fast and Furious can make its summer 2026 opening date, especially at select Halloween Horror Night tickets are guaranteeing limited access to the coaster at this year's event. Yeah, so they've already started to sell Halloween Horror Nights tickets, and they say on there, hey, you can get access to, this brand new coaster, this Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift coaster, and yet this still isn't open. Now, Halloween Horror Nights, at least in Hollywood, don't start until September, so they got a little bit of time here, but not much if they're looking for an August opening. And we've seen parts of this coaster actually, either be removed or missing. So obviously, that big front coaster car, I think that's Toretto's Charger there, and has that kind of scoop air intake on the front of its on top of its hood right there. Yeah. And it's a very significant part of the whole kind of Fast and Furious aesthetic right there. Looks great in promotional photos and everything else. Well, people have noticed that at least on one car, that Hillborn style air manifold air intake right there on that top piece has been removed, at least from one of the cars. And it's kind of like, well, what's going on right there? So I think they have had issues with some of the more decorative pieces on these coaster cars, and that's obviously not good. Spoiler coming off right there. That's not great. It's not good. MJ, what's going on right here? I'm hoping this thing opens, but we have heard nothing but problems from this project. Obviously, it's tremendous in terms of its ambition, because it's right on the side of a hill right there. Obviously, you have powered spinning component with inversions, something that even Vekoma hasn't even done yet. when it comes to like Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, for example. It's a very ambitious coaster, and it's Intamin, but a lot of problems for sure.
We have a comment from Freedom Seeker, and I wanted to actually ask you about this. He said, hopefully this doesn't have the same lengthy issue that Hagrid's did. So I don't remember when Hagrid's opened. Did they have issues for a long time?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Hagrid's opens in the summer of 2018, and they had a ton of issues.
I can't remember. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean it was down constantly. And the problems really arose, I think, mainly from the mixture of elements in that coaster right there. Obviously, there's a reverse portion. There is a drop on that, like a vertical drop, you also have a fully, I believe, automated system for dispatch and everything else. It is a moving load unload process there, and that has its own complications. So in terms of a Intamin Blitz coaster, it was very ambitious, given Universal's desire for its operational needs right there. And I do believe it's never, I think it said that I think Intamin stated that it would have as many as 12 trains on the track at once. I don't think it's ever approached that. I think it's only maxed out at like 8, maybe 9. The last time I heard of it right there. So a lot of issues. And this is indicative, by the way, MJ, of Intamin coasters. They always have problems, especially prototype coasters like this one right here. And hopefully the revisions that they make for this coaster are built right into the fabric of their next 2 iterations of this powered spinning concept right here, but I don't know. It's just, this is kind of the name of the game with Intamin. They're very ambitious, right? They're not like B&M.
Good
which
for them,
B&M,
good for being ambitious. That's great. We need it. Right. We need it.
Well, yeah, I think so.
Totally.
I think it's great when companies like this are ambitious in this field of work right here.
Like if I had to pick from this or Tron, I would definitely pick this over Tron. Yeah, so they have to be ambitious. They have a lot of competition, and it's not the first time that I've seen a spinning ride vehicle such as this one, but the fact that they are supposed to be vehicles based off the movie makes it stand out. And I really do think that people will trek over across the pond to get on board with these. We do have a new member, so he must enjoy the show. Chris A426 just became a member.
Absolutely. Skywatcher, thank you so much for coming on in and, joining us. By the way, we're going to have a tremendous show, actually, that you have exclusive access to as a member of the channel, that being Vash and Dixon at 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday right there. We have awesome stuff planned for that one. We're going to continue our Americana type, historical retrospective look at Disney's foray into America. So we started out, for the July holiday with the big spread of all of these awesome attractions like Hall of Presidents, Lincoln, the Electrical Parade and its Americana segment at the end right there, the Bicentennial, all of that. It's really, really fun. But now we're going to be going over the American Adventure, which we might have news about in this show right here, just depending on, how we juggle things around going forward. Also to Disney's, America theme park that they were going to build in Virginia. We'll go over that and much, much more this Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Definitely want to check it out. But thank you, Chris, for becoming a member and getting access to that show. Awesome stuff right there. Intamin, it's just one of those things. Now, B&M, right? Not as ambitious, but very reliable. They change out their coaster cars every once in a while, but very reliable. Intamin's not that way. They take the big swings. Sometimes they get in trouble. Maybe that's happened here. I'm really hopeful though they can get everything sorted out because I want to ride this very badly.
Ambitious as well in regards to the Imagineers that, well, let's just put it this way. The people that worked on Dark Universe for Monsters Unchained, they were very ambitious. They were they were just pushing it. If you watch the documentary, they pushed it to the limits and they have delivered. It's a people eater. The wait time is 15 minutes at most, and that's what it's supposed to do. I never understood why Hagrid's had such a long wait, but now you brought light to the situation. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
I get it now. Yeah.
It's just operations, right? It has never been able to hit that anywhere close to that theatrical number that Intamin, I think, is listed on their website. It's just not that. It's just not that way. Hagrid's has always had problems. But hey, look, listen. It's a fun coaster. Everybody loves riding it. I'm not saying that Intamin not do this. It's just, I just wish they were a little bit more operationally reliable.
Sure.
But c'est la vie. I like the ambition. Let's go ahead and hope that things work out here in the coming.
I'll take that any day
days.
over a bland ride.
That's true.
I'll wait an extra year just to get on something that's extraordinary and grandiose. I will wait, and nothing good comes quickly, right? You have to give things time. So have at it.
You do have to give these things time, and time has been taken with our next story right here. Unfortunately, I guess Disney itself couldn't figure it out. We've talked about something very new, like Fast and Furious. Now we're going to be talking about something very old, like the old Indian trading post out there at Disneyland. That's what it was called before. That's not being on PC. That's what it was. Then it was the Briar Patch. Then it was Raise Berets. Oh boy. Walt Disney World News today. Disney replacing real grass with artificial grass at Raise Berets. This by Alice Kennedy, June 24th, 2026 there. Disney replacing the grass on top of the Raise Berets store at Disneyland Park. It was previously real grass, and they are transitioning to artificial turf. Why are they doing this? Why is this happening? Why are we talking about it? I want to go ahead and show you right there, because this, previously to being Raise Berets, was Splash Mountain themed to the Briar Patch. And you can see those beautiful ferns on top of there, that beautiful grass right there. That existed up there for decades. And in fact, the Briar Patch actually predates Splash Mountain by quite a bit. I believe it was late 55, early 56. Disney actually built what was called the Indian Trading Post out there in what is now, I guess, it's not Critter Country now. What is it? It's Bayou Country now. Was previously Critter Country, was previously Bear Country, and then was previously the Indian Village as what was out there before. And so this structure, for most of its life, well over 60 years, had real grass on it, had real ferns, and it was glorious. It was amazing, MJ. It was awesome. But unfortunately, when they converted this to Raise Berets for the Tiana Bayou Adventure update, they replaced the ferns and redid the roof or whatever, and they replaced it with grass. Well, guess what? Everything modern Disney touches, it's just ridiculous. That grass died immediately. And they tried very desperately over the course of many months to redo it, lay down sod, all of that. It never took, and now we have artificial. This by Mice Chat right here. The dead grass roof on Raise Berets has been on our naughty list for some time, but we're sad to say Disney's solution for replacing real grass with fake Easter basket grass, not much better. See right there what that looks like. From a distance, looks pretty good. Grass. Up close, obviously, doesn't have the same aesthetic as it did before. You can see right here what it used to look like without the Briar Patch sign, but while Tiana's Bayou Adventure was in the process of being installed. We really hope Disney reconsiders planting the live ferns that looked green and beautiful again for years. MJ, it's a story that plays out over and over again. It's like,
it really does.
Please don't touch anything that's not broken. Then they touch it, then it breaks. Come on, what's going on here?
No, there's only one thing that comes to my mind.
Reducing costs is not necessarily one's favorite thing to do in running a company. It is a necessary thing to do often.
That's it. That's all I have to say about that one. I mean, how nice with the natural grass, but that requires irrigation systems. And I should know, the hubby's an irrigation technician. That's what he does for a living. This requires a special type of irrigation because it's on top of a roof of a structure. And then you have a professional gardener that has to daily do things to this, to the whole thing. And that they just wanted to cut that out. So again, reducing cost, reducing personnel to take care of it. And that's what you have. Now we just slap some, like they said, fake Easter basket grass. I just can't.
It's crazy, MJ. It's like, come on, can't we figure this out? It had grass on it for 60 doggone years.
Oh
Like, come on. Like, there's a reason
years.
why.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. You know, excuses.
This was frontier era technology, right? This, our forefathers figured it out hundreds of years ago. Why can't we figure it out in the theme park setting? I have no idea. It must be replaced, I guess, with artificial turf in order to always look green. Who knows how well
They
that
could
will
have
hold
even
up
put
or
like
be maintained.
the grass that you use for like golf for like when you go play golf, that type of grass. It looks fake, but it's not. They could have easily used that on top of this structure, but they didn't. They just wanted to completely cheap out.
That would be an idea. Or you could mix in, perhaps, fake grass with maybe, I don't know, the ferns that used to be up there for so long.
Yeah.
I think there were a number of different things that they could have done. They went with, obviously, the path of least resistance. And now it's like, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to replace it all. And it's never going to be a living thing again. And that connection to the frontier past, obviously, we'll go ahead and cut that off right there. I just want to go ahead and highlight this story. I know it's a little bit older and it's not like the biggest story, but it's one that's important to me.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I'd like to maintain the living heritage, this kind of connection to Americana at Disneyland. Obviously, this is a little bit different of a situation right here. Sad to see it changed out, but alas, that's what we're looking at. And by the way, Tiana's Bayou Adventure merch inside, not sold to the same extent.
No one's walking around with that. I don't see any children wearing her shirts in the park.
Right.
I just don't. I really don't.
I see a couple of little girls dressed up as Tiana, but in terms of like Tiana merchandise, I think I see more Splash Mountain merchandise, or at least
absolutely.
I saw. Back in the day
the dress moves.
that.
Bibbidi Bobbidi will always sell her gown. It's gorgeous, beautiful. It's actually one of the largest gowns in the Disney Princess collection. It's huge. It's beautiful. But you don't see, other people. They should have like a Ray shoulder plush. They could do a lot of little creative things, and they just haven't. So the merch doesn't move. Ray is that guy right there, by the way. If anyone wants to know, he's the Firefly.
He's a little Firefly right there, which is
just in case no one knows.
A little strange because Tiana is supposed to be a sequel attraction and Ray's gone. So perhaps, they put this up as a tribute to him. That's possible. But then Ray and his voice is featured in the attraction itself, singing, going down the bayou.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Nothing. There is no storyline on that. The only cool thing on there is Larry the Armadillo.
Yeah, that was a good point. Yeah,
Larry the Armadillo is the only cool guy on that ride.
That is so true. So true right there. Just want to go ahead and incorporate that in here because, no story too small. This, obviously, small story. But this is one of the longest standing structures in all of Disneyland. So, it's definitely got that historical significance right there, at least for me. But alas, that is the current situation with Ray's Berets. Hopefully the situation improves, and, well, we'd all like to be going back, but can't.
Time to be turning around. If only you could.
But we can't.
If only we could indeed. Okay, so we covered this before. I want to go ahead and cover it just a little bit more because we just saw the American Adventure at Epcot get major attendance draws for the 4th of July weekend. That was awesome to see. I mean, the place was packed, was full of people. Yes. Very, very cool right there. But I'm a little bit worried, MJ. I'm a little bit worried because we had this behind the scenes video that was released by the Disney Parks official X account right here. And it made a lot of people concerned because people will note that a year prior to Disney announcing that Carousel of Progress was going to be completely reimagined, they also released a behind-the-scenes video showcasing a lot of the attributes and aspects of that specific attraction right there. So it's kind of like, why are you placing emphasis on this? Why aren't you looking at this? Why are we getting behind-the-scenes tours of this? If the pattern holds, maybe in a year's time, we might get a reimagining of this as well, which would be awful and terrible. Well, there has been more to this story since we originally brought that out. Like, for example, they've now released an entire YouTube video going into the behind-the-scenes, nature or behind-the-scenes look at this specific attraction right here. So it's kind of like, okay, you're placing a lot of emphasis on this, and it might just be them looking at SEO data, right, and saying, hey, a lot of people are looking up Americana stuff right now for the 250th. Let's go ahead and bring this out. That is a possibility, although we are getting more changes here as well. Like, for example, George W. Bush's Portraits of Courage exhibit closing at Epcot. This is by Shannon Ace, July 6, 2026. The Portraits of Courage exhibit featuring oil paintings by President George W. Bush has been removed from the American Adventure in Epcot after a 2-year run. The exhibit opened in June 2024 with paintings of veterans adorning the walls of the American Adventure Rotunda. Its presentation has been extended multiple times, finally through this 4th of July weekend. But as of Monday, July 6, all the paintings have been removed, leaving blank spaces on the walls. People will note that also, too, from 2021 to 2023, the space held the Soul of Jazz exhibit, which was a special exhibit. And when that's on display, the Imagineering artwork that hangs on the walls was placed in its position right there. Then they switched it out to this, the Portraits of Courage exhibit currently right there. And people will note that the Soul of Jazz exhibit, that was the storytelling, or Stories Matters initiative right there. But now we have this thing removed, which, hey, by itself, nothing, right? If they put up the Imagineering artwork right there, all good, no problems. But I'm not sure that's where we're going right here. And when you look at the state of American Adventure, it does need a little bit of work. From Walt Disney World News Today, bunting and signs removed, revealing damaged columns at the American Adventure building in Epcot. This July 8th, 2026, by Amanda Finn. Patriotic bunting and signage has been removed from the columns in front of the American Adventure building in Epcot, and now it seems there's damage along their sides from the signs that used to hang there. We noticed this damage during a visit this morning, July 8th. When Disney, brings down signage or changes things, usually they like to do their best to hide this stuff from guests. The fact that they're not, concerning. Mm-hmm. Up near the top of the columns where the sign brackets are, there is significant damage left behind after the show's signs were removed. This damage may not be related to the general construction permit that was filed this morning for the pavilion. Though the permit is for the Tech de AmeriCorps, which is primarily a roofing contractor. So, you can see right here, we've got some work headed to the American Adventure right now with that permit actually placed. And also, too, we've got signs of damage and decay and, things that need to be rehabbed and maintained.
Absolutely.
So, MJ, I'll ask you, is the American Adventure the next thing on the list that Disney touches when it comes to classic attractions? We've already had, Splash Mountain completely reimagined, overhauled. We've already had the Country Bears reimagined. Same thing for Carousel of Progress. Is American Adventure possibly next on the list?
It could be. A lot of people have been talking about it, like what's next to come, right? We're stripping Americana completely out of the whole resort, not just the one park, but we're also looking at in the Magic Kingdom, the Hall of Presidents. How long is that going to last? And those animatronics in there are pretty old, and they've been doing a pretty decent job at maintaining the interior of the Hall of Presidents, but I see them revamping or eliminating Hall of Presidents before this American Pavilion. Reason why: Liberty Square is very close to the Haunted Mansion area, and there's a lot of expansion right now with, Villains Land, Cars Land coming soon. So What I'm afraid of is the future of Liberty Square. Not so much the American Pavilion. I hope that they do the refurbishment needed. It looks like what you just covered. The contractor has already been chosen. If it's signed and ready to go, then we should be okay. I would say maybe 20 years left on this one in Epcot, but the one in Liberty Square, I'm really frightful for. And not to mention the signage when you walk in. You know,
that's a good point about Liberty Square, actually, because it's so close to Cars Land, so close to Villains Land, right? And so there's a lot of emphasis placed in that area in general. We've seen that they've redone the exterior to quite a big extent of Haunted Mansion. We might be getting a new structure in that proximity right there. It might be a queue, might be a bar, whatever. But Liberty Square's story was very linked to the presence of Rivers of America. Like Columbia Harbor House, for example, doesn't quite make sense when you don't have a river next door, for example, right?
Right.
And obviously that old Liberty Bell dock, right? That currently exists right now is part of actually the concept art, at least the first one that was released for the future of the Rivers of America Cars Land project right there. So maybe it stays, maybe it goes, I don't know, but you are right. Liberty Square itself is kind of one of these things that has atrophied a little bit right there. If you compare the entertainment offerings that used to be in this area of Magic Kingdom and the fife and drum that used to be there, they used to have people get locked in the stocks and stuff like that. It used to be really fun.
Yes.
Right? That's all kind of eroded, kind of gone away. They did do a little Muppet show out there for a period of time, but that's obviously not present currently. And then you talk about Hall of Presidents, and it's kind of like, well, do we necessarily want to maintain that show because of the controversy that it brings? Maybe perhaps you transfer some of those audio animatronics to something like the American Adventure, where it might be a little bit more fitting to actually have something on display like that. There's a lot of questions with all of these things. I hope they don't affect some of these places that we love, but MJ, we've just seen so much of what has made Walt Disney World for the last 20, 30, 40 years, even in some cases, maybe over 50 if you include the Rivers of America, be removed. I don't know. Is there any hope that Liberty Square, Hall of Presidents, and American Adventure can stay as they are?
The people need to speak, and feel free to go on their website and fill out a guest survey, because you're allowed to do that and give feedback and let them know, just like how, some of our vloggers are requesting us to do for the gingerbread house. You need to voice your opinions, and they will see it. And most of the time they react towards it, and most of the time, sometimes they don't, but most of the time they do. They're actually reaching out right now to even people visiting Disney Springs. DVC members have been getting a survey for years now regarding the change that they're trying to do with that. So I really think it's worth it sending them some feedback in how you feel about Americana in the theme park and how important it is to carry this on, especially in honor of Walt. This is what he wanted for his parks.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. I'm hoping that this stuff stays with us and we can at least, maybe pass it down to our kids, right?
Exactly.
And have them take in what so resonated with us when we saw it when we were children or in various areas of our lives. I'd love for that to happen, but under this current management, I'm not sure. Now, hey, like we were saying before at the start of the show, Joe Scott's coming in here, right? And Joe Scott can say, hey, look, listen, let's not get rid of the American Adventure, guys. Come on. I mean, it's a mainstay here. People love it. Let's not go ahead and do that. Can we refresh it? Can we enhance some certain scenes or do some things in order to protect the integrity of it, but also to maybe update it for for utilizing modern technology and everything else? Can we? I don't know. We could perhaps replace each audio animatronic one by one with something a little bit more maintainable for the company's interests, but let's not just replace the entire show.
Don't do what they did on Pirates, for heaven's sake. We don't want that.
Gracious, no. That's a good point. Okay.
No, please.
no projection faces here, please. You know,
Please.
if it's something like, hey, you know, you have a figure right there that's already dimensional, and maybe, you know, you want to have a tear from George Washington's eye or something.
Yes.
Maybe that, but that's it. Like this, just let's not, you know, go crazy here. That's a good point.
Exactly.
Days
Days Life at the Kingdom. Yeah. Carousel of Progress. Narrator talking about how Walt loved the American and being proud as an American. Absolutely. Did you and Vixen cover this on Saturday, right? As well, how Walt felt about Americana and the parks.
Absolutely. We covered it to quite a great extent right there. Let me see if I can actually get my quote up that I included on social media about this, because I thought it was really, really important to showcase on the 4th of July weekend right there. A lot of people forgetting their history. Let me see if I can actually find it. Oh, come on.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to read this one
Please.
from Storybook Sorceress. The first time I visited Walt Disney World, I was still living abroad. I remember thinking, this is so representative of American culture, American flags, the colors, the Hall of Presidents, the American Pavilion. I think she has a second part to this, and she's absolutely correct. You're supposed to be Main Street, USA, is a town in, I want to say, is that what, Missouri? I forget.
Yeah, Marceline, Missouri is where it's where the origination for the idea comes from. I will say a lot of its stylings actually come from Fort Collins, Colorado, because Harper Goff was the Imagineer assigned to bring a lot of Main Street to life, and
assigned by Walt.
Assigned by Walt, and he worked off of his interpretation of what a Main Street should be. So it's a little bit Marceline, a little bit of Fort Collins right there, but you're exactly correct. And 2 for 2. Go ahead, please.
Yes, this is the second part of her comment that she wanted to say. Storybook Sorceress, it all changed drastically this past 20 years. It's very sad. I agree with you. The last 2 decades have been very difficult for us to take it in and digest it and try to figure it out, like what is going on. I understand change and all of that, but things can be preserved. You can maintenance things. You can keep things as they are. You don't have to pull out his DNA and replace it with whatever you want it. Because at the end of the day, the name says it all. It's Walt Disney World.
Walt Disney World.
Land.
So important right there.
That's
Walt
it.
saying, actually, if you
Simple
could
formula.
see closing my eyes, the American flag is waving in both of them, and up my spine is growing this red, white, and blue stripe. That was a quote from directly Walt Disney right there.
And the hard facts.
The hard facts, obviously, that have created America, right? Embedded in the speech for the opening of Disneyland right there.
Chills when you did that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, Walt's absolutely fantastic, right?
Yes.
And he definitely wanted his park, like Disneyland, to be representative of that American spirit, of American heritage. And that's why Frontierland is a third of Disneyland when it initially opens, right? That's why you walk into Marceline, Missouri when you walk into Main Street. It's just that connective tissue right there. Now, obviously, Disney in the modern era has different thought processes when it comes to this, right? So with Shanghai Disneyland, you don't walk into Main Street. You walk into, what, Disney Town or something? I don't know. Not great.
No.
Not fantastic.
But
we, like you said before, we've seen this erosion of this Americana, and it's really sad. Hopefully the American Adventure can stay where it's at right there. If you want to go ahead and improve a couple of things, maybe you can do that, right? But this is really Randy Bright's baby right here. Let's keep it the way it is. American Adventure, obviously, we need a little bit of refurbishment on the exterior right there. We can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, if you are visiting the parks anytime soon and you go enjoy this beloved attraction, talk to a cast member, put in a guest, go to guest relations and give feedback and let them know how much you enjoy this, because we don't want to see that what happened with Carousel of Progress happen with this one. Absolutely.
That's a good point right there. We're going to be talking about more about American Adventure actually on Saturday, Vash and Vixen at 3 p.m. Eastern right there. We're going to be talking about American Adventure. We're going to be talking about Liberty Square, right? Because I think Liberty Square plays a huge part in this. We talked about Hall of Presidents, but we're going to expand that out. And then the culmination of all of that in the Disney's America theme park that was going to be built in Virginia. I think that would be a cool way to end that show. So definitely check us out. Vash and Vixen, if you're a Skywatcher, on Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right there. And I do believe that does it for our show. There's some other stuff bouncing around, but don't worry, we'll go ahead and hold it off.
Actually.
Yeah,
Too
well,
much. Not enough time. Too much to cover.
Too much to cover, not enough time. You're exactly right about that. Don't worry, we'll go ahead and we'll cover it next week, starting Wednesday at, what is it, 2 p.m. Eastern now? Is that what we're going live? Yeah,
we are
yeah,
live
right.
Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, right after that Park Place,
Mm-hmm.
and Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday with Vash and Vixen, 3 p.m. Eastern. So ring that bell, hit the like, and leave a comment. And
Absolutely.
let's put the show times on here. That way you can have that there. Oh, and Pet of the Week, you can submit that to VixenSky007@gmail. Vash, you want to let the Sky Watchers know about Pet of the Week?
Yeah, Pet of the Week is an awesome segment that we do to feature your pets and what is important to you, obviously, right there. We love featuring people's pets. You can go ahead and email pictures of your pets with a little bit of a story, maybe, at VixenSky007@gmail.com. We love actually featuring that. You know, we want to bring the audience in on these shows, and I think that was a good way of bringing stuff back for our next show, Vax and Vixen.
It's called A Salute to All Nations, but mostly America.
Great. That is correct. And then Theme Parking, actually, it took place Wednesday night this week. Don't worry, folks. It's back to its regular scheduled programming on Tuesdays next week as well. It's going to be at, I do believe, 8:30 p.m. Eastern or thereabouts, whenever Jared hits that go live button.
Our good friend Jared. Did he have fun at Helios, by the way?
Oh, yeah, he had a great time.
Cool.
Great time at Helios. Really enjoyed himself right there and got some phenomenal footage of Celestial Goodnight, at least the pyrotechnics attached to it, from the pool of the Helios, which is like, I mean, they're right over your head. It's crazy. We've got more footage on that on the last theme park right there. So it's going to be a lot of fun for people to review. Anywho's, that just about concludes our show right there. Vixen Sky's got the information about our next one. And yeah, I think that just about does it for us. We got to get you on over to the M4 Empire for Marvin's show. Also, too, I think our Wizard's going to go live talking about Fast and Furious. I do believe.
Wonderful.
So if you want more theme park content, you can go ahead and go there as well. Let's go ahead and get you over there right now, though. Thank you so much for joining us for this amazing show, this amazing program. And thank you so much for getting us to, I believe, actually, we're just about 10K, which is an astounding figure right there.
Yeah.
We'll celebrate it on Wednesday if we hit it. Thank you so much, everybody out there. Let's go ahead and get you on out of here. We got to get some music playing right there. There you go.
On to the M4 Empire.
On to the M4 Empire. Remember, Skyliners, Sky Watchers, the sky is the limit. Thanks, guys.